YUSUF bin Tashfin, the Berber king who conquered Spain in 1086. He has been described as a North African Murabitoun, Almoravid ruler and conqueror, who created the first Berber Empire uniting North Africa and Spain. The fourth leader of the Murabitoun dynasty, YUSUF bin Tashfin, also spelled Tashiffin, conquered Morocco and founded Marrakesh as the Murabitoun capital in 1062. Al-Murabitoun is a newly emerged Islamic power in North Africa. Before 1061, not much was known about Tashfin. He belonged to the Berber family which, alongside Abdullah ibn Yassin, had founded the Al-Murabitoun movement a decade earlier. In 1061, Tashfin was appointed commander of the Murabitoun armies in Morocco by his cousin, Abu Bakr. This was to enable Abu Bakr, who was then leader of the Murabitoun, to go south into the desert to put down a tribal rebellion and Islamized the population. Upon his return, he realized that Tashfin had fulfilled his duties as commander honorably. Thus, Abu Bakr relinquished his power to Tashfin. He returned to the fringes of the Sahara to resolve unrest on the southern border and to Islamize its population. Tashfin would go on to become the leader of the Murabitoun and found Marrakesh in 1062 after having conquered Morocco and Algeria. By 1063, Tashfin had brought the cities held by the Zenata Berbers of central Morocco under his control, leading to the final conquest of Fez, Morocco in 1069. YUSUF bin Tashfin subsequently led the Almoravid armies in expeditions to the north and east for 12 years. By 1082, he had conquered almost all of Morocco and western Algeria. Due to his military strength and several victories, he became well known in Muslim Spain, which was at the time under attack from the Christian armies of northern Spain led by Alfonso VI of Leon and Castile. The Muslims of Spain, who were weakened and divided, asked Tashfin to help them fight the Christian armies, especially after the fall of the city of Toledo in 1085. In the year 1091, the last sovereign king of Al-Andalus, Al-Mu'tamid, saw his abbated inherited taifa of Seville, controlled since 1069, in jeopardy of being taken by the increasingly stronger king of Castile, Alfonso VI. The taifa period followed the demise of the Umayyad Caliphate. Previously, Al-Mu'tamid had launched a series of aggressive attacks on neighboring kingdoms, so as to amass more territory for himself. But his military aspirations and capabilities paled in comparison to those of the Castilian king, who in the name of Christendom captured Toledo in 1085. The Castile ruler also exacted parias, or tribute, from Muslim princes of Granada, Seville, and etc. The tribute of the emirs bolstered the economy of the Christian kingdom, and harmed the Muslim economy. These are the circumstances that led to the Murabitoun conquest, and the famous quote of Al-Mu'tamid of Seville rebuffing his son, Rashid, who advised him not to call on YUSUF bin Tashfin. Al-Mu'tamid said, "I have no desire to be branded by my descendants as the man who delivered Al-Andalus as prey to the infidels. I am loath to have my name cursed in every Muslim pulpit. And, for my part, I would rather be a camel driver in Africa than a swineherd in Castile." YUSUF bin crossed over into Al-Andalus and also achieved victory at the Battle of Zallaqah, also known as the Battle of Sagrajas in the west in October 23, 1086. He came to Al-Andalus with a force of 15,000 men. The Murabitoun or Almoravid forces, accompanied by 10,000 Andalusian fighters from local 10 Muslim taifas, decisively checked the Reconquista, significantly outnumbering and defeating the largest Christian army ever assembled up to that point. But, the death of Yusuf's heir, however, prompted his speedy return to Africa. All in all, YUSUF Tashfin crossed into Spain 4 times, according to one account. The first time was in 1086 when he defeated Alfonso VI of Castile at Zallaqah. 2 years later, Tashfin was defeated by the Christian forces which had regained power and strength. He was very disappointed with the small Muslim kings, taifa, who continued to feud with each other and live in luxury. They ignore many Islamic teachings and are weak militarily.
they had neglected their responsibilities as Muslim sovereigns. That's what made them lose to the Christian kingdoms, Leon, Castile and Aragon. YUSUF bin Tashfin then realized that the only way to strengthen the Muslims in Spain was to unite them by force. So, in 1090, YUSUF bin Tashfin left Africa to take over the power of all the Muslim taifas in Andalusia, under the auspices of the Abbasid Caliph of Baghdad. His slogan is the spreading of righteousness, the correction of injustice and the abolition of unlawful taxes. The emirs in such cities as Seville, Badajoz, Almeria and Granada had grown accustomed to the extravagant ways of the West. On top of doling out tribute to the Christians and giving Andalusian Jews unprecedented freedoms and authority, they had levied burdensome taxes on their populace to maintain this lifestyle. After a series of fatwas and careful deliberation, Yusuf saw the implementation of orthodoxy as long overdue. That year, he exiled the emirs Abdullah and his brother Tamim from Granada and Malaga, respectively, to Agmat, Morocco. And a year later Al-Mu'tamid of Seville suffered the same fate. When all was said and done, Yusuf united all of the Muslim dominions of the Iberian Peninsula, with the exception of Zaragoza, to the Kingdom of Morocco, and situated his royal court at Marrakesh. He took the title of Emir al-Muslimin, Prince of the Muslims, seeing himself as humbly serving the Caliph of Baghdad. The military might of the Murabitoun was at its peak. At the end of the 11th century, Tashfin had succeeded in uniting Morocco and Muslim Spain under Berber rule. And as Tashfin and his army took control of Muslim Spain in the 1090s while maintaining their principal seat of government in Marrakesh, Morocco, the Murabitoun or Almoravids came to rule parts of the Sahara, Morocco, Algeria, and Spain, and controlled significant ports as well as trans-Saharan trade. By the time of Tashfin's death in 1106, he controlled almost all of Muslim Spain. Yusuf bin Tashfin was convinced that God has destined him to save the Muslim West and reverse the course of the Reconquista, not in his own name but in that of the entire Ummah. Yusuf is a pious ruler. He surrounded himself with scholars, ulamas. This is how he particularly appreciated and esteemed the Andalusian Malikite ulama who had fallen from grace in their country after the fall of the Umayyad Caliphate of Córdoba and whom he met in Fez or Tlemcen, the main centers of learning in his empire. All laws not based on the Quran or the Sunnah are repealed and the Shariat is strictly applied in all provinces. Filled with honor, they were granted annuities from the funds of the Al-Murabitoun or Almoravid Beit al-Mal, which allowed them to devote themselves entirely to the study and teaching of Islamic sciences. Likewise, Yusuf consults ulamas for each of his decisions, studies their legal advice carefully and submits religiously to their fatwas. Under his reign, the guardians of the law will regain the splendor of the Umayyad period of Al-Andalus and will become even more powerful than they had ever been. In return, they legitimize Yusuf's power. Yusuf bin Tashfin was known as a wise and astute person, not too quick in making decisions, nor too slow in carrying them out. Yusuf was very adapted to the rugged terrain of the Sahara and was not interested in the splendor of the Andalusian palace. According to medieval Arab writers, Yusuf was of average build. He had clear brown skin and a thin beard. Her voice was soft, her speech graceful. His eyes are black. His son and successor, Ali ibn Yusuf, was seen as a devout Muslim like his father.